Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video here. Try not to make this super long, but this video, we're going to be talking about a movie franchise that I had an interest in since I was a kid, that franchise being The Lost Boys. Now, if you never heard of this franchise, don't worry about it. You can find their movies like on Google Play Movies. I'm not going to spoil the first movie because if you're interested, I would say out of all three movies, the first one's the best. I know you hear that a lot when it comes to a lot of franchise movies. In this case, it really is. There are three movies total, and there's comic books about the characters, the Frog Brothers, that you can read also as well. That kind of fills in the gaps in between the first and the third movie. But the first movie is actually pretty good. I would say watch it. Now, the sad thing about it is that the franchise is actually dead. I just researched to find out if there was any new news about Lost Boys Part 4. Found out that it's dead. The project is done. Warner Brothers basically folded, and so the franchise Lost Boys has no home and no other production company will pick it up. Kind of sad because I wanted to know some things, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. Now, the first movie I would say definitely watch because it's going to set the tone for you to understand what it's about. But just a general synopsis, it's about vampires in Santa Carla, California. The thing about it is, I think what really kind of like hurt the franchise is that the second movie called Lost Boys 2, The Tribe, pretty much redid the first movie's storyline with new characters in it. So when you watch the first movie, understand that the second movie is going to be exactly like the first movie, except character change names. However, there's one character that remains in the second movie that was in the first movie, and that's the character of Edgar Frog. Now, in the first movie, the Vampire Slayers are young boys known as the Frog Brothers, Edgar and Alan Frog, who meet the Emerson family. So that's about as much as you're going to get from the first movie. Watch it. It's actually pretty good. Second movie pretty much bites the same thing, only it deals with a pro surfer who has, a clan of vampires underneath him, who seduces a woman a young woman. She and her brother actually moved to Santa Carla, and they're renting an apartment from their aunt. They move there. He seduces her, turns the brother, because the brother tries to infiltrate them as a way to help Edgar Frog infiltrate the group so that way they can take him out so the brother can save his sister. Real bad sequel to the movie. Definitely got hit with a lot of that sophomore jinx. But then we also have the third movie. Now, the third movie was pretty interesting. I watched it a bunch of times over and over again to see if I get a different feel of it, because I like scary movies and movies that have to do with vampires, werewolves, warlocks, and things like that. And I would say the third movie, not as good as the first movie, but pretty good. Only because it brings back the Frog Brothers. In the second movie, you only had Edgar Frog. The third movie, you have both Alan and Edgar. Now, the third movie opens up where the Frog Brothers are in D.C. So you have to read the comic books of the Frog Brothers on how they made their way to Washington, D.C. to destroy a covenant that was there. So they make their way to D.C. to destroy a covenant there. Senator is about to take his first human. And of course, the rules of vampires apply when you drink the blood of a vampire, you turn, but you're only half changed. It's not until you take your first bite and drink human blood for the first time is where you're permanently changed. And so the Frog Brothers save the congressman from the senator who was going to bite the congressman. In the process of saving the congressman, Alan goes after one of the vampires to kill him, and gets ambushed and is forced a vial of vampire blood into his mouth, which then changes him, and then Alan runs off. So Edgar's pretty much, in the third movie, Edgar's pretty much alone, right? Like, he lost his brother. He mentions in the movie that he had to kill Sam in a confrontation because Sam ended up becoming a vampire. This Sam is from the first movie. And so because he killed Sam's older brother and the brother's wife would not help Edgar in any situation for what he did. But anyways, so the movie's actually like pretty decent. Towards the end of the movie, there is a scene where after they've beaten the vampires, Alan goes to the beach because he hasn't seen the sun in a long time. He basically goes out there and enjoys the sun while reading a book. Edgar goes back to a bookstore where his friend Zoe works at, and he was given a book in the middle of the movie that pretty much talks about everything about the dark underworld. So when he goes back there, he tells Zoe that he scanned the book. And he makes mention of something that he read in the book where it talks about werewolves, how male werewolves can only change during a full moon, but a female werewolf can change on command. day or night. Whenever she feels like changing, she will change. So Zoe pretty much says that's interesting, and as the scene cuts to where she turns towards the camera, when you can see her face, her eyes change, indicating that she is a werewolf herself. So that left a lot of fans like, ooh, what's gonna happen? You know, is Edgar gonna find out that she's a werewolf? Is she playing him the entire time? Is she the next antagonist of the fourth movie, or is she an ally in the fourth movie? And then what are they gonna be fighting in the fourth movie? Left a lot of fans with those questions. I can tell you guys right now why I feel like that no other production company wants to touch the franchise, and that's because of the second movie. The second movie left some major inconsistencies, and I know they tried to bridge that basically with the first movie and the third movie. They try to bridge them and try to kind of like cover the second movie because it left inconsistencies. And I'll say some of the inconsistencies here. So if you want to watch those three movies, cut out now and come back to my video later because these are spoilers right now. So in the second movie, at the end of the movie, basically, Sam Emerson confronts Edgar Frog at a park, telling him that the master is on his way. Wait, no, scratch that, because there's actually two. So he confronts him on the beach, and he tells him a Grand Master is on his way. As they're conversating, and Sam mentions that, you know, he used to be a vampire, he shows where he was bitten to Edgar. First of all, we don't even get told how Sam was bitten and how Sam was returned to human. Secondly, the scene cuts back and forth between them talking, and then this car just blasting down the coastal highway with all the windows blacked out, and then it cuts into the view into the car where you see this person driving with a bunch of rings on his hands. He's got a Stetson hat on, and there's a computer screen on the dash that shows him the road ahead. So obviously everything's blacked out because it's a vampire in there. Vampire is with a woman vampire. They're laughing, they're driving crazy and nuts because obviously they can't die, and they're making their way there. Now, after that, it cuts back to the conversation between Edgar and Sam, where basically it's made known the master vampire that's coming back to Santa Carla to confront Edgar is Edgar's brother, Alan Frog. So Alan Frog, for some reason, not only became a vampire sometime between the first and second movie, but he's also a master vampire. So that's one inconsistency there. And the reason I say inconsistency is from some of the stuff that's said, Sam being a vampire, being back to a human, then it makes sense. Now, the other end credit of the second movie is where Edgar Frog goes to a park and he tells somebody who's standing in the dark to face him, and that person comes out, vampire and all, black trench coat, turns out to be Sam Emerson. They exchange a bit of dialogue, and then Edgar kills him. You don't see him kill him, but you see them come rushing towards each other, and that ends the scene. So, I mean, inconsistencies there, because you have one end credit scene where Sam and Edgar are talking, but Alan's the master vampire, and then you have another scene in the same movie where it's like Sam is a vampire. Now, I see where 1 and 3 kind of bridge together and kind of bridge 2 into it, because they're going with Sam was a vampire, and that Edgar killed him at the end of part 2. And kind of obliterating the fact that Alan was turned into a vampire. But we do get Alan as a vampire in part 3. He's not a master vampire, and he's a little bit different than being, you know, edgy and laughable and like, I'm gonna go and do whatever I want type of thing. He's hiding away from humans because he doesn't want to fully transform. Now, the inconsistencies is the reason that I feel like that production companies are not going to want to touch the franchise. However, I hope and pray that they will just give in and bring us a fourth movie, because a lot of people want to know what goes on after Edgar and Zoe in that conversation in the bookstore. That's the key thing that people want to know about. Those people who are fans of the franchise, they want to know. There's not anything really continued. I mean, they were going to do like a Frog Brothers TV series. That didn't come to fruition. The fourth movie is pretty much like up in the air until the production says, hey, we'll take your franchise and let's make this movie. Yeah, I do know that they're stating that they're going to reboot the movie, the original one from 1987, and I don't like reboots, so it's like, not too happy about that. Hopefully they don't do it, you know, because some movies aren't made to be rebooted, like The Crow. How they tried to reboot The Crow with Jason Momoa, and just so much things creative differences happened, and now the project for The Crow is canned again for reboot. So, but I'll talk about that in a different video. But anyways, guys, for those people who've watched The Lost Boys, part 1, 2, and 3, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys were interested in seeing a fourth one. And would it have to be a major Hollywood production, or are you guys okay with B-side development? You guys can do that in the comment section of the video. Smash that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. And that's it for right now, guys. I'm going to jam out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.